Hi everyone, this is Anna from Koala Soap, and I have a new mold and we're doing fine. As you know, everything's a little crazy right now in the hospital world, so we've been busy, and I'm going to leave it at that, okay? So we'll just leave it at that. So what I have is I wanted to try this mold that has dividers in it. I know it's not the usual mold that I like to use, but if this works, I will somehow make it work in that other smaller mold that I like to use. So this, I think on the advertisement said that it held 40 ounces, but what I like to do is, this is how I measure what goes into my mold. So this particular mold, you could do 2 slats or 3 slats for the dividers. And what I do is I will grab my kitchen scale, and I have water here, and I understand that soap will weigh more than water, etc., but it's just a good, for me, it's just kind of a good estimate of what I'm going to need for this particular experiment. So I have it zeroed. I'm going to put the mold here, and now I'm going to zero it again. And what I'm going to do is I just took this water, this is a 4-cup water pitcher or measuring cup, and I'm going to go ahead and just pour it in. Now the first thing I'm noticing is this slot is filling up and the other ones really aren't, which tells me this has a pretty good seal for our design today. So far that's great, and there's starting to be a little bit of leakage down there. That's fine. I just need to know about how much this measure will measure for fluid. I just need a rough idea here. It may not work, but that's what we do. I can see accidentally overfilling this, and this going into here and this going over, so I'm going to stop there. Okay, so this is saying that it's 1 pound 9 ounces. I'm going to up that to 1 pound 10 ounces, which will be about 26 ounces of soap base that I'm going to use. And since we have 3 slots, I'm going to times the 26 ounces by 3 and get roughly 8, maybe 8¼ ounces per slot. And we're going to have our little pink mold off to the side, so if we have extra, we already know what we're going to do. We'll just pour it off there and we'll be good. So let's go ahead and get our soap ready and get our workspace set up, and let's get going. Okay, and we're back. So what I've done is I've measured out approximately 9 ounces of clear melt and pour, shea butter melt and pour, not to be mixed with raw shea butter melt and pour. We're going to be using Love Spell today. It's my daughter's new favorite. We're going to be using Stardust Micas Sunset Pink. I can read better because I got new glasses. I'm really happy about that. So let's go ahead and get this melted down, and then we'll start our little experiment. Okay, so my camera shut off, and I'm not sure how far we got, so I'm going to recap just a little bit and I will edit it out. I have a glycerin, I have a shea butter and a shea butter. I added my mica, so I have a light pink, I have a white, and I have my glycerin, which is a darker pink. I said to use alcohol, but if you are having a hard time finding alcohol, I have used just a touch of distilled water to mix this. I have used Love Spell, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm really going to try to be more religious about putting information on the website with the exact measurements for people, but again, it's going to be to whatever mold I'm using, so keep that in mind. And usually I like to use my smaller square mold just because that's what I like to use better. What we're going to do, these are in the high 140s right now. I can go ahead and pour, but when we were measuring the water with these slats, even though they were pretty good, and I understand that this is thicker, I don't want it to seep. I know it's going to seep a little bit, but I just don't want it to seep a lot. So I'm going to let these get down into the 130s, and then we will go ahead and pour. Then we're going to let it develop a thicker skin. We're going to remove the slats, and then we're going to try to do something like some kind of a swirl with it. I don't know if it's going to work. I've always wanted to try it, and I finally got this mold to try it. So let's go ahead and let these cool down a little bit longer, and then we'll go ahead and we will pour. Okay, and we're back. So these are now in the very low 140s, 130s. I was going to wait to the 120s, but I'm really kind of worried they're going to get clumpy because they are developing a pretty good skin already. I'm going to put the glycerin in the middle slot. I already know it's going to seep a little bit. It's, you know, heavier and thinner than my others. Let me make sure these slants are down. And so, actually, you know what? I think I'm going to start here and go this way. So let's do our white. See how high we can get it to go up. Oops. Bit of skin there. It's starting to seep a little bit, and we're going to try to okay. This one has a big skin on it. Okay, so I think the cooler we pour, the less. Now I'm hoping that the pressure on each side will keep them from going too much into the other side there. And then we're going to squirt with a little bit of alcohol. We're going to let these develop just a little bit of a skin. And then we're going to go ahead and we are going to pull up and see if we can do a little bit of a design with it. I do also have my bio glitter, which we'll put on top. So we'll be back once these develop a pretty good skin. Okay, and we're back. So what I've done is I really can't take a good temperature because I want the skin on there. So I'm not going to get an accurate temperature, but what I am doing is I'm trying to feel around the side, and I'm trying to see, I don't know if you can see that the glycerin is really moving around, but I think that's okay. I'm going to see how much of a skin. Do these first, pretty good. I say we just try it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the slats, and we're going to see how it works. So as carefully as I can, and as carefully as I can. Oh, that makes a mess. And I think what we'll do is we'll go like this. We'll do a little bit of alcohol. It's actually, it looks like a rose kind of soap. So we're going to go ahead and let this sit, and then we will go ahead and do a cut. I do want to add some of the glitter, so what we'll do is we'll put a glove on. You don't want to touch any glitter, whether you're doing tumblers or anything like that, with your bare hands, just because you have a lot of oils on it, and it, you know, can affect, especially because this is biodegradable. I just don't want to. So what we're going to do is, no matter how the soap comes out, glitter always makes it a little bit better. I'll be curious to see if it looks like what it's looking like on top. We're just going to have like a little bit of a rosy soap. And that's okay, it smells great. And I'm doing this while it's still a little wet so that the glitter will stick. So we'll be back, we're going to let this set, and then we will do the cut. Okay, before we cut, what I'm noticing, and I don't know if you can see it, is over here, because this, when I filled it, this one was obviously a little bit higher than these, and it was a little bit more set because it didn't just kind of level out. So I'm going to have an uneven soap. It's, I don't know, it's going to be kind of on an angle. We need to save that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to try not to mess with the rest of the design, and I'm just going to make it so it's just not such a, I'm going to just disrupt this a little bit. Just, it's that way, it's just not, and I think we're just going to have a pink soap, but that's okay. I just don't want this to be, it looks like something will be wrong, so we're going to just kind of cover that up a little bit. What I could do also is just put some whipped soap on top of it, but I'm just going to leave it. I just didn't want there to be an angle there because that's kind of obvious. And we can do other things to hide that later if that's what happens. I honestly have no idea what's going to happen with this. The dividers did hold the colors quite well, and I could see for cold process soap, this would be a great thing to have. I can see why people would want it. I don't know if it's going to work for melt and pour. I think it can. I just have to figure it out. And so any comments you have below, I do think if I let it set a little bit more before doing this, that's one thing. But we'll see. I mean, we honestly don't know. It looks pretty the way it is. It kind of looks like a watercolor pink. So what we'll do is once this sets, I'm going to clean everything else up. We'll go ahead and do the cut, and we'll see how it looks. Okay, and we are back. This seems like it's pretty set. I hope. We'll see. So we're going to loosen it, and we have these dividers right here kind of at the end, so we're going to have to be careful with those. And we'll be cutting them off actually. So we have a line there. Let's see. Okay, so this will have to be dealt with. So let's kind of see what's going on. I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it two ways actually. So this is the first way I'm going to cut it because I'm just kind of curious. So we're going to hold, when we're using this cutter, for some reason this to me felt like it was sliding. So what my husband did was he added 2 washers to this and it stopped. So I really don't know why. I don't know how washers really work. He did, and he fixed it. So if you have that kind of issue, that's what's going on. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to push it forward and up. We're going to keep this side clear. So that's what we're coming up with. So it looks like what it did was it just so this is how it's coming out. What I'm kind of curious about, I'm trying to see how I would do that. If we're cutting this way, what would happen? I'm just kind of curious what would happen if we cut this way. What would we see? Let's try it out. We can't do any more harm. So just that. Okay. So basically it looks like we're just going to have a 3-color soap. So the glycerin, which is always the heaviest, even though it was in the middle, I didn't wait for it to cool enough. So what it did was it went ahead, it settled down like glycerin always does, because it's always heavier than the shea butter melt and pour soap. But that's fine. It's a cute soap. It's going to stay at home, so I'm not too worried about it. To, but it's a good soap to have, especially in these times. We needed soap anyway. Okay, so this is pretty much it. I guess we'll just call it a flying saucer pink soap. Okay, I think that's going to be it. Anyway, these are a good guess size. The other thing that I've noticed with the mold is you're going to have to cut them probably twice as much, so it's a nicer block size if you're selling these soaps. For us, it's fine. We do have family and friends that will want these, no problem, and can use them because sometimes soap is hard to find in the stores, although I think it's getting better anyway. It smells great. I don't know that I'm going to perfect this anytime soon. I will continue to work on it, but I'm going to kind of go back to my old things that I like to do. So that's it for us today.
Sorry I couldn't be in the video more. I was playing with the Xang Kiwi.
Yes, dear. Yes, and I'd like to thank Kiwi for keeping Gavin busy during these times and keeping his mind off of what's going on. Okay, so this is Anna from Koala Soap. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.